Field of Masters is an innovation redefining the face of publishing and education in both the virtual and physical worlds. Our master courses are designed to empower our clients with topic-driven strategic education. Our courses afford our clients a wealth of knowledge with specialized expertise. We create short, stackable, specialized classes customized to your needs, charting custom courses and topics our clients desire to master. Our mixture of innovation, expertise, and creativity is our trademark. Terroir is a sense of place as conveyed through the taste of wine. The terroir is a concept that encompasses the varieties of grapes, elevation and shape of the vineyard, type and chemistry of soil, climate and seasonal conditions, and local yeast cultures. Each country, each region, each season, each vineyard. A combination of earth, chemistry, and God's goodness produces the richness of each bottle. Each vineyard, each vintage has its own terroir. Each bottle tells a story.
I've put it in the freezer for at least 5 to 10 minutes just so that it gets very, very cold, and I'm just going to take my wine key here. I'm just going to basically undo the top layer, but leaving the cage on there, of course. Is you're going to try and find the seam of the bottle that runs along the side of the bottle. I've already somewhat found it, which is right here. I'm just going to make a little spot so when I do go to savor it, I'm going to have a nice little guideline all the way up the bottle, so I have a straight line and I know where I'm going to hit it. Once you have your line, I'm just going to run it flat along the bottle. Just hit it right at the very top, and the top should just come off.
Champagne comes from a region very close to Normandy and also very close to the Loire Valley. All of the kings of France had their coronation at the cathedral in Reims. So that became very popular, although not in the style that you're drinking today. Champagne that we have today didn't occur until approximately the early 1800s. And the reason for that being is the French had not developed or exploited their coal resources, so they couldn't make hard glass like the English could. So the English actually provided the bottles to put the champagne in. Champagne became sparkling after Dom Perignon. Actually, he was the abbot at Abbeville. His position there was as head winemaker. He became blind relatively early in his life, so he wasn't able to see what he was making, but he had a phenomenal memory. And as I mentioned to you, the trick in making champagne is blending it together, what they call cuvée. That means to blend. So his mind, he could taste something and he knew, okay, these grapes come from over here on this slope of this hill there. I want that in my blend. And they may have 60 different champagnes that they use blending into it. And the process of what we have today came when the British started getting bottles there. And the British, even though they talk dry, they still drink sweet, but over time has evolved to becoming very dry. So your classification on the most dry will be Brut with 0 grams of sugar, all natural, or a lot of times on the French label, in the French you'll see au sauvage, which means without or wild or natural. So the grape is a Prosecco grape, and that's the wine that it produces, the Prosecco sparkling wine. And as I mentioned to you, they no longer can use the term champagne anywhere in the EU. And if you're like the US or some other country that's developing sparkling wine, you can only enter into the European market under the guise of a sparkling wine. You cannot use the term champagne. Now in the US, they grandfathered that clause in. So you were calling it champagne before U.S. Liquor and Tobacco and Firearms Department decided that you had to follow those rules. You were allowed to retain the term champagne. Some like Corbel can still use it because they're one of the first companies in California to produce that kind. You know, when you're removing the cork, you turn the bottle one way and the cork goes the other direction. And you always hold your thumb over it and you turn the opposite directions and it'll ease out. Hold your thumb on it so it doesn't fly off and hit the chandelier or hit somebody in the eye. Always hold it at a 90-degree angle. And you never want your champagne to go pop. Most white wines, and of course including sparkling wines, unless it's an Asti, and then of course you get more of a tropical type fruit flavor with that. Most wines you'll pick up the aroma of apples, and if it has any kind of age on, you'll pick up the flavor of biscuits. The British call their crackers biscuits. And this is Mum's, and they've given the title Mum's Napa Brut Prestige. They don't use the word champagne on it, but they have on here, and in fact you can't even use the word, they used to for a while be able to use the word method champagne, as in other words made the same way that the French do, and all of the, since it has on here Napa Valley, that means that at least 85% of the grapes that are in here are sourced from Napa, which is gives you a sense of proprietary, you know they're using quality stuff, they're not using something from the desert or something like that. And basically when you're making sparkling wine, you don't want ripe grapes. When you make sparkling wine, or when you make eau de vie like cognac, armagnac, or brandies, you want grapes that are not 100% ripe, because it's the acid in the grapes which translates to flavor profile in the brandies and cognacs. When you're dealing with champagne or sparkling wines, the revelation as to the quality is the tininess of the bubbles that come up and how long they come up. Of course, you have to be sure that your glass is clean, there's no soap in it, and that you have not eaten something with fat on your lips, or that your lips are not glossed, because that's a fat product and it'll detract from it and cause the bubbles not to be there. Thinking of the champagne that was sold to the Tsars of Russia, and that's the Crystal, which is always in a clear bottle, and with almost every champagne you have at the bottom a punt, P-U-N-T. And this is for some people that want to hold like this, reaching across the table, they can do so. It also, when it's being made in the bottle, the yeast cells will fall to the bottom, and then when you do the process of riddling, when you turn it over, so the riddling comes out here, and then you freeze the cap with a liquid nitrogen, and then you release the cap and that little piece of ice will fly off, and then you refill it. Well, but they had clear bottle for the Tsar of Russia because his brother, who had been killed by an explosion of bombs, so he was terrified of anything they couldn't see. So the clear bottle meant that he could hold it up like this, or his sommelier could hold it up like this. There's no hidden dark spot under here where explosives could be. So it became very successful, and the fact that the Tsar of Russia, one of the wealthiest people in the world at that time, would drink this product, sold it. So that's why Crystal became so famous. It was a Maytag blue cheese that's from Iowa, made by the Amana people there. They've been making it for years and years here, and it's an excellent cheese. Okay, this is a goat cheese with a little bit of herbal greens on it, give it flavoring. Gives a little contrast because goat cheese tends to be a little bit more on the tart, sour side, so this gives a little contrast for you. This is the rondelli, and it comes packed like you would, almost like a spreading cheese. We scooped it out on here. It's made from dairy product. It's of the consistency of a triple cream, so quite rich, and it's spreadable on your toast points or your wafers, your biscuits right here. The brie, it's a rich type cream. It's a dairy product, okay, and they naturally, that crust on it will naturally form of its own. It's a protection for it, gives it ability to age. This does not have ripeness to it. When it has ripeness, it will actually turn a golden amber color almost, and then you scoop it out, and there are people that, if you were to serve this to them, they wouldn't be happy with it, but it's not the American palate. It's French and the Belgians and the Germans and the Swiss like it that way.